Rex Beck.
First question I have for you about Delmar is kind of like when you moved here and how you got here and started around this area.
Okay, I born and lived in Jackson County, about 10 miles straight north of here. And I moved down here when I was 12 years old. I was in 7th grade in the country school. I was halfway through and I had to change mid-season and come to Delmar.
So did you go to the school here, Delwood?
Delmar.
Delmar, yeah. Did you go to the school here?
Right.
Yeah.
At this building.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Right. And I started school the second semester of 1947. Actually, 48, really. I think it was. We moved in 47, and I think I started school in 48.
Yeah.
That time.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a question. What brought your family kind of to Delmar, like in a way? What brought your family here?
My parents bought a farm where I live now, and that was actually in 47. See, and it's just a mile from here down the highway here towards the 4-lane, and that's how I got in this part of the country.
Well, that's quite a fine story.
Could ask you maybe a little bit more about farming. What kind of farming?
Oh yeah. So what kind of animals did you have on your farm back then?
Back then we had everything. We had chickens, we had hogs, we had cattle, we had cows. And there is a difference between cows and cattle.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know that.
You don't?
No.
I don't.
Okay. Everybody thinks
Cattle.
I'll get you. Anyway, a cow is a female animal that has little animals. And they have calves, and they're part of the cattle. Cattle are everything together.
Yeah.
And a cow is the mother.
Oh.
So yep.
Now you know. Now remember that.
So what is kind of your favorite part in Delmar, like place in Delmar? Where's your favorite place in Delmar, basically?
My home.
Your home.
We love our home.
Is it because you can sleep all
So what is special to you about Delmar?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's the garden spot of the world.
Very peaceful town.
I think we live in the best place in the world to live because we got everything we need almost within a half hour's drive. And we live in the country. We live on a hard surface road. And I don't know what more we'd ask for.
So how has Delmar changed from 1947, as you said you moved here? So how has it changed from then to now?
When we moved here in 47, Delmar was a railroad town.
Yeah.
The trains come in and out, day in and day out, and they go out. There's the main line. You come under the
There's a
viaduct
bridge
down
back there by the depot, wasn't
Right.
there? Yeah.
And then there's another line went off just behind the depot, went off this way and went on the backside of our farm, and that one went to Macocata. Mm-hmm. And on the south side, there was a train, another station down there, and that train went to DeWitt and Welton and those towns.
Mm-hmm.
And the main line went all the way to Chicago.
Yeah. Well, kind of what memories do you have about Delmar? Like different family memories or things about Delmar that you really love?
When I was young, it was an awful change because we had no neighbors. I'm an only child. I never had kids to play with, and I was out in the boonies where we lived before. I went to 2 miles to a country school. So when I come to Delmar, everything was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of kids to play with, and just a good place to be.
So,
Can I ask a
yep,
question
go
about
ahead.
that? Does that mean you had more neighbors when you came to Delmar?
Yes, we had a neighbor right across the street,
Wow.
and we went, and they had 7 children.
Whoa.
And I come from nowhere as a single child, only child. So, what more could you ever ask for?
What makes Delmar feel like your home?
I guess it's because I've been here since I was 12 years old.
Just a nice place to be.
Just a good place to be.
Wonder if he's ever lived anywhere else.
Yeah. Where did you grow up? Jackson County, did you say?
Jackson County.
What town did you grow up in?
Well, I went to the country school, but the high school went to Maquoketa.
Mm-hmm.
So Maquoketa was our main town. Everything was in Maquoketa. And we used to go to Andrew, which was about the same distance. But Andrew was like Delmar or a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What makes you stay in Delmar? Like, how do you like Delmar, and how does it make you stay?
Oh, gee. I was in the Army 54 to 56. And I went to the West Coast. And I was in this huge Army place. And we lived in a big city. And we went back and forth. My wife went with me. And I said, when I got out of that town, I said, I'll never live in another big city. So we like it so much
You
better
like it back here? Mm-hmm.
in the country than we do in the big cities.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Quad Cities, they're great, but when you're out in the country, it's so much better.
Mm-hmm.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. So, what does Delmar kind of mean to you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it just means it's just a good place to be. Good. It's a pretty good life. And for what I did in my life, it was a perfect place to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just have one more for you. If you close your eyes and think of Delmar, what comes to your mind? Kind of, what do you think of about Delmar?
How much has changed? I think Delmar has really changed from when I was a kid. It was just like a big town. It was busy and a lot of things to do. And now there isn't much left in Delmar compared to what it used to be. And it's really kind of sad. So it's just the way the world is going right now. The small towns are getting less and less to do and things like that. So.
Is there any one thing that you miss the most that used to be here?
I think the trains. We lived on the trains. We had trains on both sides of our house, and it was life. The trains, and I still miss the trains. Yesterday I was on Highway 30 down here, and I watched the train. I met the trains going down the road, and you watch them. It's just.
Yeah, I think for us, we just have driven through and gotten to be here a couple of times. Could you describe what the downtown was like when you were growing up?
At one time, I don't know when it was, I'd say, I moved to the house I live in now because I was married and I lived in my grandparents' house, which was 3 miles further. But I think just what was the question again, please? I'm sorry.
Just wondering what the downtown was like, or you just said it used to be pretty busy. I'd just love to hear more about that.
I remember. I got anyway, there was 2 grocery stores all the time I was young.
So what were the name of those grocery stores?
Oh, gee. One was, they go by the names of the people. Boy. Can't tell you that way. One was Beers, I think it was. That was on the north side or the west side of the downtown, and the other one was, I don't remember what the name was. It's just what the people that run the store. That's what
their names were.
That was their name.
Yeah.
And there was four. We call them bars, taverns. Whatever, they had food and everything you needed, and one of them actually had meals,
Yeah.
morning, noon, and night.
Was that the Bam Bams or?
That it's gone now. It's
Oh,
completely tore down.
Yeah.
Bam Bam's was the last,
Restaurant in Delmar.
I gotta stop and think. That used to be a grocery store.
Oh, it did?
Yes, Domer's. That was the other one, was
Domer's.
Domer's. And of course, both grocery stores closed up, and the big bar, tavern bar restaurant, that one burnt down. That was down by the fire. Did you see the new fire
Station
down there? Okay, right beside that.
Oh, that kind of building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that burnt down. So, and then there was everything going on. The town was, with the trains, it was 24 hours a day.
So did you enjoy Delmar as you were growing up?
Yes, I've always enjoyed it. Because remember, I come out of the nowhere. we didn't have anything. We didn't have close neighbors. And as an only child, my parents, all they did was work. And in those days, I was born in 1936. I was born in the house that we farmed on. So I was always alone. And my mother and dad worked together. They'd go out to the field together to do whatever the season had, and I'd have to go along. Even I remember really little, you just go along. Had no place to go, I'd go along.
Did you enjoy growing up on a farm?
Oh yes, that's all I've ever done, really.
So you still have your farm today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I live in the place that I moved from up north. And then when my wife and I came out of the Army, we moved into the house that's 3 miles west of that house.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Camille has an interesting question for you.
If you sold Delmar to someone who did not know anything about Delmar, what would you tell them about it?
It's a wonderful,
Trying to sell
wonderful place to live. Oh, it's just a good place to have a house and a place to live. I know we don't have all them stores anymore, but you gotta like the small town in order to live at the small town, The people in the city think we're out here in the nowhere, but we got access to everything they've got, And
I have another one. What would you like to see in the future of Delmar?
clean it up and build some new houses and just get it going again. I don't know how that'll happen, but
Like get some grocery stores in there?
well, we got Casey's.
new people.
Casey's saved the day. Casey's is wonderful in Iowa. They're just everywhere, and we're only 6 miles from Makokata. So nowadays, 6 miles, if you run out of milk, you can drive up and get milk,
Mm-hmm.
But Casey's does a good job for Delmar. So.
You have a couple more minutes with Rex. Do you have any closing questions you want to ask him?
What do you wish that people knew about Delmar so that they would be tempted to kind of move into Delmar?
That's another tough one. Delmar right now don't have a lot to offer. So you gotta tell them to come in and we'll try to get it going, I've got some lots in the town, and, they're building a few up here, right up just across here. There's some new houses up there. But I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that. If I was selling something, I don't know how I'd go about it.
So, is Delmar a kind of place where people have friends or know their neighbors, and then why or why not?
Delmar is the size that everybody knows everybody. Pretty much. We have some people come in and go out all the time, and it takes a while. You'll say, well, I don't know those people anymore, but then you get acquainted. And And there's 2 churches here in town.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big draw. 2 churches almost side by side with the school in the middle. So that's a big plus. So,
One more?
Okay. Why was the jailhouse shut down?
why was the jailhouse set down?
Shut down.
I think it was probably obsolete. There's nothing good about the jail. I don't think there's any. I'm not sure there's any water or anything in it. I think it's just a so-called place where they lock you up and wait till you get someplace else to go. But that was long before my time. But they got it fixed up real nice. It looks nice. Did you see the jail?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That little building.
Yes.
By the post office.
My wife was the postmaster of Delmar
Oh,
for
really?
22 years,
Wow.
right next to the jail.
So what street did you live on?
I live out in the country on the highway, the Highway 136. That's the one going right through town.
Yeah.
Do you remember any stories from your wife? Just kind of telling maybe something interesting that happened as a postmaster.
It's a long time to be a postmaster.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, 22 years she did.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot of stories, But she was good, and she loved the people, and the people loved her, and you know everybody. You know what everybody's doing. That's being in the post office. You really know what's going on.